welcome back to Good Morning NFC East. I'm here with the man, the myth, the legend, Marc Farzetta from the Farzy Show and the JAKIB Sports pregame and halftime show. Farzy, man, first and foremost, good morning.
Good morning, sir.
How you feeling? How's the kids? How's the wife? How are you?
I'm fantastic. I hate to burst your bubble, though. The last time I set foot on a football field, I guess it was special because I allowed, as a defensive back, I allowed 2 touchdowns to LaSalle in like a 2-minute span, and I don't think anyone's ever done that. Though I still think that's a record. So yes, I guess that is special.
Oh man, listen, you're always going to provide the vibes here, Farzy. Don't you ever get it twisted, my man. But
nice to see you, brother.
Always, man. Appreciate you for taking the time out to fill in with me. I ended the segment discussing how the odds makers have the Philadelphia Eagles essentially as the favorite. I think they're like a 1.5 favorite. I haven't checked it.
Yes, they are. No, I can confirm it was. I think one sportsbook had them at a pick'em, and then it was 2.5, and then 1.5.
Okay, so basically they're saying this thing can go either way, right?
Yeah.
But I know what the numbers say. Yes, they're the favorite, but I don't believe it, Farzy.
You don't believe it?
Is this our Philly nature to just always be the underdogs? I understand they say
no.
I understand that they say we're the favorite, but I firmly believe there are a lot of people at that, expecting Jalen Hurts and the Eagles to fumble the bag. What's your thoughts on that?
I think everyone wants Patrick Mahomes to be the next GOAT. I think they want, Brady's out. It's the time for the next one. And pretty much everyone has already anointed Patrick Mahomes, and a lot deservingly so, as the next one. And the only way you really confirm that is by winning Super Bowls. This is his 3rd already in his young career. So if he wins, then you start building up the next GOAT status, and you're already well on your way to doing that if you're Patrick Mahomes. But I think what people don't realize is how good the Philadelphia Eagles are and how good Jalen Hurts is. And that's what a lot of people just aren't acknowledging yet. Yes, you can go by betting standards, and the Eagles are 1.5-point favorites. Fine. Throw that out the windows first. The Eagles are the better football team. I'll tell you why people are confident. It's because the Eagles overall are better. And just when you look at the quarterback position, Chiefs fans, national football fans can't do what they usually do in these games and say, oh, if Patrick Mahomes is playing, he's far and away the better quarterback. Well, not in this case. And literally the numbers will back that up when you talk about MVP votes, because I really believe it's going to be Patrick Mahomes and then Jalen Hurts. And these guys are going to be going at it in the Super Bowl on Sunday. But far and away, the better team here is the Philadelphia Eagles. I mean, if you look at the quarterback, it's close in that race right there. You look at the offensive lines. The Eagles' offensive line is better than the Chiefs' offensive line. Talk about Pro Bowlers on the offensive line of the Chiefs. They got 2 of them right there. The center position is close, but I still give the edge to Jason Kelce. But the biggest gap between these two teams is defense. The Eagles' defense blows the Kansas City Chiefs' defense out of the water. So for me, I think the Eagles win this game, and I think most people are confident. And the word I've used, the phrase I've used, I might have coined it. All right, Tone? I may have coined it. Sheepish confidence. We are sheepishly confident that the Eagles will win this game. Now, what I mean by that is when I talk to Eagles fans, if I'm out and about, and my wife and I recently moved, as you know, so we've had people coming over to do different things for the house, right? And they'll talk to me about the Eagles, and they'll be like, so how do you feel? I'm like, I feel really good. And their response will be, yeah, I do too. Like, it's like, excuse me. I'm like, that's hilarious. That right there is hilarious to me. That people, they think they're going to win, but they don't want to be overconfident because they know all the experience of the Kansas City Chiefs. They know the talent level of Patrick Mahomes. They know that Andy Reid is a good football coach. They know Steve Spagnuolo is a very good defensive coordinator. They know what they're up against, but they also have a lot of confidence in their team. And I think most people have this as a close Eagles victory.
Yeah, you spoke about the confidence many a times, right? The confidence is permeating through the city. Everywhere I go, people say this Eagles team is better. They're just better, period, right? And I agree with them without a shadow of a doubt. But, we talk so much about what this team does from the neck down, right? What is it about this team from the neck up that makes them this special? What is it about this team from the neck up that makes us this confident, right?
Yeah. It's cliche, but it's cliche because it applies to really good teams. And the Eagles are a really good team. The Eagles are a great team. It just comes down to the fact that they have laser focus. And I loved what Nick Sirianni had to say at his press conference yesterday. Not media day, but his press conference. He was asked about, how this team, really stays the course throughout, everything throughout the season. Every team goes through a lot of things throughout the season. How they stay the course, how they stayed perfect for so long, how they maintained the best record in the NFL all season long. And really what it came down to was the analogy that Nick Sirianni pointed out was you go to the foul line as an opposing basketball player. So you're away. You're on the opposing basketball court, right? And you got the Thunder Sticks going behind the glass backboard. You got the crowd going crazy. Hell, it might even be like Philadelphia, where you either get a free Frosty or nowadays you get a free chicken sandwich or whatever it is from Chick-fil-A. Yeah. So when you're looking at it like that with all the distractions, Nick Sirianni said, no matter what, your routine as a foul shooter. You go to the line, you take your 3 dribbles, you take a breath, and you let it rip. That's what the Eagles have done all season long. No matter what the adversity, no matter an injury to Jalen Hurts, no matter injuries to their secondary, whatever it might be, whether it's Lane Johnson fighting his way through an injury on the offensive line, this Eagles team stays focused. They keep their routine. They don't let the outside elements affect them because they're in their own little bubble of concentration. And that's what they're doing through what is the most distracting week in all of sports, the week leading up to the Super Bowl. And I'll quote Doug Peterson because he said one of the best things I've ever heard a coach say leading up to the Super Bowl. When Bill Belichick went out to meet him at the warm-ups, Bill Belichick, obviously a veteran of many Super Bowls, goes out to Doug Peterson and says, "How was your week?" And Doug Peterson says, "There's a game in here somewhere, right?" Like through all the hoopla and the pomp and circumstance and all that stuff, Doug Peterson just wanted to get back to his grease board. You know what I'm saying? So I think this Eagles team does a phenomenal job of sifting through all the distractions and just cutting to the source, which is ultimately how they perform in that football field.
Does it go back to the way Jalen Hurts carries himself? Because
definitely
Jalen Hurts is a guy who, he doesn't say too much, but he says just enough, right? Mm-hmm. Short and sweet and to the point, always potent when he speaks, right? It's never fluff. It's always, the meat. So I think about the way Jalen Hurts has approached the game. I think the way Jalen Hurts has approached his preparation. And I think about his mindset. And then I think about Nick Sirianni, how he approaches the game, his mindset. Jalen Hurts is that calm, steady presence. Nick Sirianni is that rambunctious, passionate guy who wears his heart on his sleeve. And for some reason, that coexists perfectly. It's that perfect yin and yang, right? Can you speak on how that dynamic works with Jalen Hurts being as even kill as he is, and with Nick Sirianni being as high as he is, as passionate as he is? You don't see Jalen Hurts in the camera, nod into the camera, right? You see Nick Sirianni just going off on the sidelines, and I love it, by the way. That's so Philly, in my opinion. But give me your thoughts, your opinion on on the dichotomy between Jalen Hurts and Nick Sirianni.
Jalen Hurts, I made this analogy a couple of weeks ago on my show when I was talking about it. You would never put Nick Sirianni and Jalen Hurts in the same room and be like, "Oh, they're friends." You know what I mean? Like those guys, they're not guys that should hit it off. Jalen Hurts is this all the time. He is just this. Nick Sirianni, and I can relate in a lot of ways, is like this. Like he's all over the place with his emotions and the type of personality that he has. So I wouldn't take those two guys and be like, "Oh, they're really gonna hit it off." But I think that speaks to Nick Sirianni's ability to identify with the players on his team, having never been a player at the NFL level. I mean, we're talking about a guy who played D3 college ball, was a wide receiver, that obviously has been in the NFL now as a coach for a long time. I think what those guys do so well, what makes them click, is that they are, I think, more of the opposite. They're both passionate. They have that, but they show their passion in very different ways. Jalen Hurts shows his passion by laser focus, never getting too high, never getting too low. Nick Sirianni, we see get extremely high. We see get extremely low. We have seen that with him. And you watch him through the week, and it's funny. Nick Sirianni, if you notice, the day after games, especially after a night game, like a primetime game or even a 4:30 start, his Monday press conference is this. yeah, we just kind of go through the motion and we do what we do and we love what we do and it's great and we just try to focus. And the Wednesday press conference, he's like up a little bit more. He's like, okay, yeah, we're almost through it. And the Friday press conference, he's this guy. He's the hands all over the place. He's excited. He's ready to go. That's his demeanor. Jalen Hurts, every single time he addressed the media, he's right here. He's just this. He's just very chill. The only exception I've ever seen was recent when he was talking to Cooper Manning at media night, at Super Bowl opening night. Cooper Manning is dressed like a cowboy, and Jalen Hurts is talking to him, and he's cracking up. But even in that moment, and I mean this with admiration. I know when we use the word clown, often we're poking fun at someone else. I'm not doing that here because Cooper Manning knows his job, and I think he does it very well. I am entertained by Cooper Manning. But Cooper Manning's dressed like a clown. And Jalen Hurts is looking at him. He's having fun. He's laughing. They're both laughing. You tell that they have a great relationship. And still in that moment, Jalen Hurts has a serious moment of, I just want to let you know. Like, he's talking to a guy in a cowboy hat and a bolo tie, okay? And he goes, I just want to let you know. I just want to let you know that you guys have really meant a lot to me, your entire family, and I appreciate all the support you have given me. He has this like beautiful, poignant moment with Cooper Manning, who is just supposed to be a goofball in this situation. And I think that tells you a lot about Jalen Hurts' personality, that he can always find that moment, find that special thing to laser focus on and make sure he gets his point across. But when it comes to both these guys, I think it really speaks to Nick Sirianni's ability to identify with anybody in his locker room, whether that's wearing a Brandon Graham t-shirt, whether that's learning the high school fight song, football fight song of Miles Sanders, whether that's dressing as Jalen Hurts for Halloween, as he did a year and a half ago. That shows you that this guy just knows how to, or whether he's talking about flowers and daisies in the locker room. This guy knows how to identify with his team. And I think that is an incredible thing that he can do that with anybody on this team. And I think when you have a quarterback as the leader of your team, take on the personality that you want to see a quarterback take on, which is laser focus, only worry about what he can control, and only worry about the team in front of you. I think that's an incredible, incredible thing that these two guys share, that you're getting exactly what you want as a head coach if you're a player. And as a head coach, you're getting exactly what you want out of your quarterback with the way Jalen Hurts has conducted himself as a leader of this football team and a man who is 1,000% dedicated to his craft.
Yeah, absolutely. Nick Sirianni, one moment that stands out to me is when I think it was last season, Jalen Hurts I think he fumbled in the red zone against Washington, and Nick Sirianni tore him a new one. But Jalen Hurts, again, stayed even killed, understood the moment, took that, and it manifested into a win. But Nick Sirianni just has this uncanny ability to, like you said, connect with his roster. But I'll take it a step further, and it all began with Howie Roseman, showing that ability to connect. John McMullen wrote an article. A couple guys wrote an article, but our guy John McMullen from JAKIB Sports wrote an article about Howie Roseman and Nick Sirianni's relationship and how it blossomed or bloomed into this amazing flower that we have now. And Howie Roseman spoke on the fact that before Nick, he never really took the time to really focus on the relationships. He was more so focused on the business and team building, so on and so forth. He said Nick helped him reintroduce himself to relationship and how important it is to establish relationship before anything else. When Nick Sirianni first got here, first thing he says to Howie Roseman is, "Hey, we're hanging out." Howie Roseman says, "Hey, what are we doing?" He says, "Hanging out." so a guy like Nick Sirianni, man, I feel like, yes, he's passionate. Yeah, he gives you a lot of spunky energy, and yeah, sometimes people can't stand him. But what he's done to help to change the complexion of this organization is really fascinating, especially when you think about Howie Roseman, right? Have you seen a difference in Howie Roseman, the way he approaches maybe team building or roster building with Doug Peterson versus with Nick Sirianni? Because again, those are two different guys. They approach the game differently. They approach coaching differently. And Nick Sirianni and Doug Peterson, again, they're just different. They are just different humans. So have you seen or noticed a difference or variance in Howie Roseman in comparison to his time with Doug versus with Nick Sirianni?
I have not really noticed much of a difference other than the obvious, which is the success. But like Howie's always been aggressive. Whether you want to talk about the, God forbid, the dream team year or anything like that, Howie has always been aggressive. When he has had, say in the front office, he's been an aggressive guy. You look at the 2017 team, that team was 2 years removed from Chip Kelly. And that's the most amazing thing. Like Howie Roseman was told with Chip Kelly in the final year of Chip Kelly, hey, Howie, go away. Don't do your job anymore. And then a year later, Howie, come on back. And 2 years after that, you build a Super Bowl winner. That's incredible. And you build you get a quarterback that you think is going to be your franchise guy. That quarterback goes out. Your starting left tackle, Hall of Fame caliber, Jason Peters, left tackle, goes out. A phenomenal player like Darren Sproles goes out. I mean, we could go down the laundry list of guys that they were missing for that Super Bowl, and they still beat Tom Brady. That might be the deepest team in the history of the NFL that won that Super Bowl. Then you look at this team, and you just look at the starting 22. Holy pots and pans, man. This team is incredible, and it's all because Howie Roseman really upped this team with, whether you talk about James Bradbury, whether you talk about this defensive line as stacked as it is, you talk about getting those guys in the middle of the season with the Ndamukong Suh and Linval Joseph, you talk about drafting Jordan Davis, you talk about trading for a guy like A.J. Brown on draft night. It is insane what he has done with this team. So overall, he has hit more home runs in the last 5 years than he has had swing and misses. We all know the huge swing and miss was Justin Jefferson and Jalen Reagor, but last I checked, Justin Jefferson hasn't played in the Super Bowl yet. Now, that's not all on one player. The point is to play in Super Bowls, and you're about to play in your second in 5 years. That is pretty impressive when you talk about the pieces that he picked up after Chip Kelly. If you would have told me after Howie was reappointed the position that you were going to play in 2 Super Bowls in the next 7 years, I would have said, stop doing drugs. And yet here we are. We are about to watch the Eagles play in their second Super Bowl in that span.
Right. But they definitely didn't get here by accident, right?
No,
all the moves Howie's made, bringing in Haason Reddick, trading for A.J. Brown, bringing in Kaiser White, James Bradbury, even Zach Pascal's played a role, right? You are bringing in C.J. Gardner-Johnson and then noticing deficiencies in the team. You go get Linval Joseph and Ndamukong Suh. Howie Roseman has been pushing all the right buttons, and he's been very proactive instead of reactive. Maybe going to get Linval Joseph and Ndamukong Suh was reactive, but I kind of feel like that's more of a proactive decision because the moment he saw an issue with that Eagles run defense, because it was shaky all year.
Yeah.
But the moment it actually led to something abysmal like that loss, the way they lost, he said, okay, this is not happening again. Mm-hmm. So maybe it was reactive to that moment, but it was proactive to the longevity of the team going the distance, right?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I think once you saw Fletcher Cox, what was it? Like 90% of the snaps, I believe it was, he played in that one game against Washington, I think it was. Yeah, Howie's like, okay, something needs to be done. Now, something also has to be said for Nick Sirianni and also Jonathan Gannon in that you had 2 players in Linval Joseph and Ndamukong Suh that wanted to come to Philadelphia. You could, what do they call it now? Ring shopping. Oh, Philly's got a good chance of making it. I think I'll go to Philly. So I think that works out, but I think that speaks volumes for the coaching staff and the overall culture and Howie Roseman to a point. I think it is a very impressive thing as well to think about. You're going back to this Super Bowl with another guy you're looking at to be a franchise quarterback in Jalen Hurts. Like, that's the thing. You're going back to the Super Bowl with a different head coach and a different starting quarterback.
Not many have done that. Not many have done that.
That's bonkers to me. If you were to tell me what I referenced a couple of minutes ago, that you were going to have 2 Super Bowl appearances in the 7-year span that Howie Roseman was retaking over things, and you were going to do it with 2 different head coaches and 2 different quarterbacks, oh, yeah, I would have said you're crazy. I probably just would have gotten off the phone or just stopped texting you back. I don't know. But it is a very different thing. It's a very odd thing, but it's a very special thing. So that, to me, is something that Howie Roseman has done phenomenally well since he has retaken the reins as the general manager and final say over player personnel with this team. It really is a remarkable thing, and he's getting the props that he has deserved. And I was not a Howie guy. I'm like the vast majority of people. I thought, how the hell is this guy back to be a GM? Like, whoever got fired and came back to do the job and then killed it? Nobody. So he is absolutely killing it this time around.
He rose from the Lazarus pit.
Yeah, right.
I have to ask you this, right? we speak so much about how this team was just dominant all year. And some people think it's kind of difficult to pinpoint a moment or a singular game that they knew this team would be special. Can you pinpoint a moment for you? Maybe it was a play, maybe it was a drive, a game, maybe it was a stretch of games. Mm-hmm. What was that moment when you realized, okay, this Eagles team can go the distance?
Mm-hmm. The moment that really raised my eyebrows was that second quarter against the Vikings in week 2.
That early, huh?
Yeah, simply because you were supposed to beat the Vikings, but they struggled. The fact that they defensively shut down Justin Jefferson, like in that first game against the Lions, I was checking boxes for Jalen Hurts because I really liked Jalen Hurts, and I wanted him to be the guy. I was rooting for him to be the guy. I think between the ears, the guy is just on another level. I mean, we talk a lot about mental toughness and mental health in this day and age. And one of the things Devin Caney and I always talk about is that it's like Jalen Hurts is on mental steroids. Like this guy is just like on another level when the way he thinks and his mindset and his approach to the game. And I absolutely love it. And what he has as a player mentally is what I think we want all our athletes to have, especially in this city. Like the guy is just a tough SOB, and we love that. But when it comes to physical attributes, we wanted to see accuracy. We saw accuracy in that Detroit Lions game. We wanted to see him get rid of the football if he was in trouble. He did that. We wanted to see him get down if he took off. He did that. There's a lot of boxes. The accuracy on slant routes in particular, we saw that. The little drop back pass he had to A.J. Brown for the touchdown in that game, I want to say. That, or was it Devontae Smith? I'm trying to remember. But it was down the sideline. That was right on the money as a throw down the field. We wanted to see that accuracy. We saw all that. Yeah. I wanted to see the defense step up. And in that second quarter, the defense stepped up. The offense was fantastic. And I thought, could this be it? It was the first time I went, oh, damn. Like, Jalen's got it. This defense is shutting down Justin Jefferson. This might be it. This might be it. And then as the season rolled on, you saw yet again another top 10 defense from Jonathan Gannon in terms of points and yards. You saw the sack numbers skyrocket throughout the season. As we all know, it's been well covered. And you've seen guys come into the fold to help you win, continuously help you win. So for me, I go back to that I go back to week 2, and I think, oh, wow, this could be, if Jalen's going to play at this level this year, oh, my God, watch out. And the man really hasn't missed a beat.
Yeah. That Vikings game definitely did something for me too. It showed me that, okay, Jalen Hurts won't be the problem this year. Mm-hmm. I think that was the biggest takeaway for me. Obviously, the defense did their thing, Darius Slay and those boys. But what stood out to me more than anything was, okay, Jalen Hurts will not be the problem this year. Now that that's out the way, we need everything else. We need everything else to come full circle. And you mentioned obviously them shutting down Justin Jefferson was something that we didn't really see coming. We thought they would probably try to, maybe bracket him or maybe let him do him and then should lock down everybody else, force Kirk Cousins to beat you with everyone else. But being as though they've done a pretty good job shutting down big time, wide receivers throughout the season. Because I can't think of any receiver or tight end that's had a big game against the Philadelphia Eagles. Maybe CeeDee Lamb. I know he had 100 yards the second time we played them. But, when it comes to handling a guy like Travis Kelce in this Super Bowl with the Kansas City Chiefs and knowing you have a guy like Patrick Mahomes throwing him the ball, how does this Eagles defense handle a guy like Travis Kelce? If you're Jonathan Gannon, what's your game plan for trying to at least hinder or limit a guy like Travis Kelce?
I mean, I think a lot of it comes down to you got to hit him. You got to make sure he doesn't get off the line of scrimmage clean. You got to be physical with him. I mean, he was dealing with a back injury 2 weeks ago. So, look, you never try to hurt anybody, but you realize if somebody is not at 100% and you try to do what they can to make sure they're not playing at that high level that you always see them play at. So when you're talking about that, you're always going to be physical with those guys. That's just a fact of the matter. That's why you're hearing more and more teams treat injuries like hockey players, like lower body injury, the upper body injury, that kind of thing. But schematically, I think if you're Jonathan Gannon, you're going up to CeeDee Deuce, you're going up to Reed Blankenship, you're going up to Kazir White. And I know people are going to hate hearing this, but you got to keep people guessing. You got to keep Patrick Mahomes guessing. You're going to see Haason Reddick drop back in coverage a couple of times in this game. I don't think it's going to be at the point where you're going to see him do it 5-10 times and something ridiculous like that. But just to keep them guessing, I think you're going to see it once or twice in this game. But most notably, most worth pointing out is you're going to be looking at your nickel corners, Avonte Maddox. You're going to be looking at C.D. Deuce. You're going to be looking at Reed Blankenship, who obviously is a safety, but you're going to see him come down in the box as well. And you're going to tell him, those guys and Kazir White, hit him. You got to be physical with Travis Kelce. Regardless of injury, you got to knock him off his timing, because that's how you're going to ultimately win a battle against Patrick Mahomes. Yes, he'll still be able to buy time, but you want him in that peril situation where he's got to be forced to make a decision of what he's going to do with the football when it's bleeding down on the clock. When you got to force him to make those circus throws. I want those high-pressure throws from Patrick Mahomes. He's got to have a highlight reel game to beat this defense. So if you're Jonathan Gannon, you're going to make sure that you're using your linebacker and Kazir White. You're going to be using your nickel corner, you guys with nickel corner experience, to make sure they're D'ing up that tight end coming off the line of scrimmage, to make sure nothing is easy for him.
Is Haason Reddick the best pass rusher the Eagles have had in the past 20 years? Let's just say this century, right? Since
This
2000 up until now. Is Haason Reddick, has he put himself in rare air as a pass rusher in Philadelphia?
Yes, definitely rare air. In terms of the best, I think he is number one. I mean, you talk about just great seasons. I think the guy that you're talking about, Javon Curse's great year with the Eagles. You're talking about, Connor Barwin had a great year with the Eagles. Oh my God, Jason Babin had a great year with the Eagles.
Trent Cole was a menace.
Trent Cole was so consistent.
Very consistent.
When I think about Trent Cole, I just think about 10 sacks. That's what I think about.
You're getting 10 sacks. You're getting 11 sacks.
Yeah, exactly. But you think about individual seasons. He was the most consistent, probably. Hugh Douglas had some great years, obviously. But Haason Reddick has just taken over games.
I think that's
the way they played
against, it's the way it looks. Yeah. He wrecks. It looks like he's directly influencing the outcome of the game, right?
Yeah, that's the thing. I can't think of anyone who's been more impactful than Haason Reddick has been impactful this year. And what's really amazing to me, what I think puts him above everybody else, is that everybody else that we mentioned played with a defensive coordinator that was known to be aggressive. That is what's amazing to me. He's not playing with the defensive coordinator that's being aggressive. He's playing with a defensive coordinator that is saying, go win. Go out there and win this snap. Beat the man in front of you. I'm not going to be running games left and right. I'm not going to be sending 6 left and right. It comes down to you winning your battle. That's how you're going to get after the quarterback. And the fact that he's had that much success with that type of defensive philosophy, I think puts him far and away above anybody else, actually. Now that I really start to think about it in terms of the last 20 years, because they have had great pass rushers, he's the guy that they're consistently saying, go win your one-on-one battle, go beat a double team, get after the quarterback, wreak havoc, and make them think that your footsteps are right behind them every single time, because they are, for the most part. That's what I think separates him, is that it's mostly him. It's not mostly a scheme. It's not mostly the philosophy. It's go win your battle. When he was introduced as an Eagle, I'll never forget his press conference. He got asked the question. I love when new guys get asked this question. It's, when are you at your best? What's the best version of Haason Reddick? And he said, when I'm allowed to play fast and be aggressive. For the vast majority of the season, although I know people will point out the few times he has dropped back in coverage, he's played fast, he's played furious, he's been aggressive. Jonathan Gannon has allowed him to do that, but he's also asked a lot of him to win those battles one-on-one without having a heavy blitz package being used throughout the game. So that's probably the most important thing, is you're seeing Haason Reddick have this success while you're only sending 4 or 5. That's what's made it so special.
So as we begin to close out the show, Farzi, once again, I thank you for coming on with me today and, just gracing the platform with your presence. I have a final question for you.
Yes.
When it comes to the Super Bowl MVP, right? Because the Eagles will win the Super Bowl, by the way.
Damn right.
I just want to make sure we put that energy out there right now.
Okay, good.
When it comes to the Super Bowl MVP, who is more likely to win it on offense, if it is an offensive guy, and who's more likely to win it on defense, if it is a defensive guy? So I want you to give me your Super Bowl MVPs on offense and on defense.
Wow, could you imagine this city with a defensive Super Bowl MVP?
We'll lose it, by the way.
Oh my! we might hold a separate parade just for that fact. Like we might have the Super Bowl parade and the Super Bowl MVP parade. Offensively, it's. I mean, let's get the favorite out of the way. Jalen Hurts.
Right.
Jalen Hurts.
That's the easy choice, right?
That's the easy choice. And I'm going to go with a little bit of an underdog here. Dallas Goedert. Like,
interesting.
Let me go. Look, there's other guys that are very much more likely to win it, but I'm going to go after Jalen Hurts. I'm going to go with Dallas Goedert because the yards after the catch ability, the fact that I think Steve Spagnuolo is going to be aggressive with Jalen Hurts and go after him. I think you're going to see a handful of bubble screens to Dallas Goedert and also a couple of slant routes that he's so good at running and so good at getting the yards after the catch with. Dallas Goedert's going to be my dark horse when it comes to potential Super Bowl MVP on the offensive side. On the defensive side, I think the favorite is the guy we just talked about, Haason Reddick. And then as the underdog in that regard, I'm going to go with C.D. Deuce. I'm going to go with Chauncey Gardner-Johnson.
I like that.
I like the idea of an interception. I like the idea of getting a fumble, a scoop and score, if you will. I like the idea of him turning some heads. He'll be my underdog behind Haason Reddick as a Super Bowl MVP from the defensive side of the ball.
Yeah, I think if I had to give mine really quickly, obviously Jalen Hurts and Haason Reddick are the easy choices on offense and defense. But my dark horse on offense, I'm going to go Devontae Smith. You know, Devontae Smith, he's a small dude, but plays in big games. He plays big. You know, he said in one of his press conferences throughout the week, I'm built for games like this. This is what I do. You know what I mean? Like he's shown up in the biggest of moments throughout his career. And you know, he has potential to be in rare air if he wins the Super Bowl this year. If he adds a Super Bowl MVP with that, man, oh man, Devontae Smith is going to be one of the most decorated football players that we've ever seen. Mm-hmm. And then my dark horse on defense, you said CJ Gardner-Johnson. I'm going to take it a step further. Maybe it's not necessarily further, but I'm going to go adjacent. I'm going to say James Bradberry. I say James Bradberry, if he wins it, the only way he gets it is if he catches a pick six in a really, really big moment, like a game-changing moment. So
sure,
I think James Bradberry may be my dark horse for Super Bowl MVP if it's on defense. But Farzy, man, you have been spectacular this morning, man. You know, I give you a lot of credit. You get up at 6 a.m., hot and bothered, ready to rock. You know, and I got to give you credit, my man. Once again, I appreciate you for coming on to Good Morning NFC East to guest host with me, my man. It means a lot. Man, well, what's coming up next for you, man? I know we got a busy week this week. But what you got cooking?
Hold on a second. First off, this is in honor of our friend Jeff Kerr, who you're in for today. What's your favorite TGIF show? You got to give me that.
You guys are before my time, man. Come on. I'm 28. I'm 28. So I might not be able to give you an answer on that.
Do your ABC Friday night lineup research, Tone. Do your homework. No.
I was a Cartoon Network guy growing up, right?
Oh my God. All right. Yeah. All right. I got you. So here's what I got for you. I got Farz's show the rest of the week, obviously. And then Sunday, we got the pregame show, Road to Glendale, with my man Derek Gunn and Seth Joyner. So don't miss it there from Ocean Casino. We got plenty of other stuff with JAKIB Media coming up through the week. So make sure you guys follow me on social media, and I'll be announcing it. I'm sure JAKIB Media will be announcing it as well, what the schedule is going to be for the rest of the week.
Hey, Farzy, man, like I always say, the man, the myth, the legend, the bold and the beautiful, and the young and the restless. Marc Farzetta, thank you so much for coming in on the platform, man. You take care, my guy.
You may compliment me more than my own mother, which is nice.
Hey, listen, man, I got to take care of my own, okay? I got to take care of my own.
Thanks, brother. Good seeing you again.
You take care, my man.
See you, bud.
Oh, man, shout out to my guy, Marc Farzetta, for always coming in the clutch for me. I appreciate you guys as well for just holding it down while I hold it down for our guy, our main man, Jeff Kerr, while he's holding it down in Glendale, Arizona, covering Super Bowl 57 for CBS Sports and JAKIB Sports, respectively. Me and Farzy spoke about a lot. And, one thing that stood out to me is how confident you guys are as fans. The city, the pulse of the city right now is just spectacular. You guys have just been riding with this team through and through all year long, and I can't take that for granted. The Eagles shouldn't take that for granted. And trust me, I don't believe they do. When you have a guy like Jalen Hurts in the building, he understands the assignment. And I think this team will go as he goes. And you guys already know. Rain, sleet, or snow. Them Philadelphia Eagles train to go. I was your guy, Tone DeShields II from Good Morning NFC East, holding it down for our guy, Jeff Kerr. We appreciate you guys for locking in. Stay tuned. Continue to smash that like button. Continue to stay engaged. Stay humble. Stay healthy. And most importantly, stay hungry. See you later.